Imagine holding a single penny in your hand, worn, ordinary, tossed around for decades in pockets and piggy banks. Now imagine that very penny could be the ticket to a fortune so staggering, it could change your life forever. One coin, 1 cent, a simple 1980 Lincoln penny, without a mint mark, that has shocked collectors and investors by reaching values close to $1 million. Yes, you heard that right. A coin worth less than a stick of gum suddenly commanding prices that could buy you a mansion, a luxury car, or fund your retirement. How is that even possible? And more importantly, could you already have one sitting unnoticed in your home right now? The story begins in 1980. The Lincoln Memorial Cent was already a familiar face in America's pockets. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln Cent had been minted for decades, and by 1980, billions had been struck. But here's where the plot thickens. That year, something slipped past the watchful eyes of the U.S. Mint. A subtle error, a missing detail so small most people never noticed it, yet so rare it would eventually send shockwaves through the coin-collecting world. That missing detail? The mint mark. Normally, a penny from Philadelphia in 1980 would carry no mint mark, which in itself wasn't unusual. But the difference lies in the details of certain striking errors and die varieties that appeared that year. Some pennies emerged with anomalies invisible to the casual observer but magnetic to collectors. These so-called error coins are like hidden treasure maps disguised as pocket change. And when rarity collides with demand, values skyrocket. Now think about this. Collectors don't just want coins. They want stories. They want mystery, rarity, and the thrill of owning something almost no one else has. And the 1980 no mint mark Lincoln penny delivers exactly that. A handful of coins from this era exhibit strange doubling on the lettering, unusual striking errors, or surfaces that appear unlike any ordinary penny. Combine that with the fact that these are over 4 decades old and increasingly scarce in pristine condition, and you have the recipe for a modern gold rush. But here's the twist most people don't realize. Some of these coins, when graded at the highest levels of perfection, have shattered expectations. Not just a few $100s. Not just a few thousand. We are talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, with valuations rumored and reported in the ballpark of $979,000. Imagine scrolling through an online auction, seeing a penny, a single cent, commanding nearly $1 million hammer price. Sounds insane. It sounds impossible. And yet, for those who know what to look for, it's not just a fantasy. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at your spare change? Not just glanced, but really studied it? Because if you're like most people, you've probably let countless coins slip through your hands without a second thought. And yet, in those everyday transactions, someone somewhere has unknowingly spent a fortune disguised as a penny. Here's where it gets more exciting, or terrifying, depending on how you see it. These valuable pennies aren't always sitting behind glass in a museum. They're out there, circulating, lurking in old jars, dresser drawers, or coffee cans filled with loose change. You may have even handed one over at the grocery store last week without realizing it. That thought alone should give you chills. But what makes one 1980 penny worth $1 million while another is worth exactly 1 cent? The answer lies in condition, certification, and error specifics. Professional grading services examine coins under intense scrutiny, awarding the rarest and most flawless examples with high grades like MS-67 or MS-68. Each grade leap can double, triple, or multiply the value exponentially. A coin that looks ordinary to you could be hiding imperfections or perfection that only the trained eye can see. And in this game, perfection pays millions. Picture this. A coin graded as nearly flawless, showcasing a striking anomaly, sells at auction. The room buzzes. The numbers climb higher. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and finally nearly $1 million. The hammer falls and history is made. That's not a fairy tale. That's the reality of rare coin auctions today. Now let's break the tension for just a second. If you're wondering, why would anyone pay that much for a penny? Well, ask yourself why someone would pay millions for a painting, a baseball card, or a vintage car. Value is born where rarity meets passion. And in the numismatic world, collectors are not just buying coins. They're buying the thrill of exclusivity, the bragging rights of owning something so rare it borders on mythical. And here's the part that should keep you on the edge of your seat. The market is hotter than ever. Baby boomers, Gen X, and even younger investors are diving headfirst into collectibles as safe havens. Inflation worries, stock market swings, all of these fuel demand for tangible assets like rare coins, which means that penny sitting unnoticed in a box could be more valuable today than at any other point in history. So what should you do right now? Simple. Don't ignore your change. Don't dismiss those old coin jars. Search them. Study them. Because the opportunity doesn't just belong to professional collectors or insiders. It belongs to anyone willing to take a closer look. And here's the haunting question you'll carry with you after this video ends. How many fortunes have already slipped through your hands, unrecognized, unnoticed, spent for nothing more than a stick of gum or a morning coffee? The 1980 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is more than a coin. It's a symbol of hidden wealth, a reminder that unimaginable value can hide in plain sight. Somewhere out there, someone is about to stumble upon the find of a lifetime. The only question is, will it be you? Keep looking, keep searching, and never underestimate the power of a single penny. Because in the world of rare coins, even the smallest detail can make you a millionaire overnight. And that, my friends, is the true value of paying attention. You see, coins have always carried a bit of mystery. Some are minted in vast quantities, forgotten as quickly as they are spent. Others slip through the cracks of history, hiding rare secrets that only the sharpest eyes can uncover. And then there are those that become legends because they shouldn't even exist. The 1981 no-mint Mark penny is one of them. At first glance, it looks just like every other copper-colored coin you've handled thousands of times. Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile stares forward. "In God we trust," arches above, and the date reads clearly, 1981. But something is missing. Something that should never, under any circumstance, be missing. The mint mark. That tiny letter, a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco, which tells you where the coin was born. On this penny, it's gone, vanished, and that absence changes everything. How could a mint mark just disappear? Here's where the story takes a shocking turn. During production at the United States Mint, an error in the die, or in rare cases, intentional oversight, can lead to a batch of coins missing crucial details. These so-called error coins slip past inspectors, escaping into circulation where they hide for decades in jars, piggy banks, and dusty drawers. Most errors are small, worth a few dollars at best. But when a coin this rare surfaces, the value skyrockets. Collectors whisper about it in forums. Auction houses gasp when one appears. And the price tag? Today, a pristine 1981 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent has been appraised at an astonishing $975,000. Nearly $1 million for a single penny. Let that sink in for a moment. What could you do with nearly $1 million found in your change jar? Pay off your mortgage? Retire early? Travel the world in style? This is where the dream begins to feel real. And the best part, you might already own one without even knowing. Now, here's the cliffhanger. The 1981 no-mint Mark penny isn't the only coin out there with such shocking hidden value. It belongs to a secret league of coins that ordinary people mistake for junk, only to discover they're sitting on a life-changing fortune. So the question becomes, could you be holding $1 million secret right now? Let's rewind for just a moment. Why 1981? Why not any other year? Well, that year was pivotal. It was one of the last years the Lincoln cent was minted in predominantly copper before the switch to cheaper zinc in 1982. That alone gives the coin historical weight. Combine that with a vanishing mint mark, and suddenly you've got the perfect storm. Historical importance, extreme rarity, and collector obsession. A trifecta that turns a penny into a gold mine. And don't think you need to be a seasoned numismatist to spot it. The beauty of this coin's error is its simplicity. All you need is your own eyes, maybe a magnifying glass, and the patience to look closely. But here's the catch. Thousands of people will hear this story today, and every single one of them will rush to check their collections. The question is, will you check yours before it's too late? Because when coins like this hit the open market, they don't sit around waiting. Collectors battle for them. Prices spike overnight. One coin sells for 6 figures, and suddenly everyone is desperate to find the next one. Timing is everything. Now let's break the tension with a little reality check. What are the chances you'll stumble across this coin? Slim. But here's the twist, you don't need to find the one mythical penny to strike it rich. The world of coin collecting is full of overlooked treasures. Doubled dies, off-center strikes, rare mint errors, and transitional metals. People toss them aside every single day, not realizing they've discarded thousands, or even millions, of dollars. So, the question isn't just, do you have the 1981 no-mint mark penny? The real question is, how many treasures have already slipped through your fingers? That thought alone should be enough to send you running to your old jars and coin folders. And here's where the urgency comes in. Coins are like hidden lottery tickets. They don't last forever. Once they're found, they're snapped up by wealthy collectors, locked away in private collections, and never seen again. Imagine the regret of realizing you had the chance, but missed it. So tonight, after this video ends, I challenge you, empty that drawer. Open the piggy bank. Dig through the coffee cans in the garage. Look at every single Lincoln cent from 1981. Because one tiny missing letter could change your life forever. And if you don't find it, don't lose hope. Every search brings knowledge, and every coin you study makes you sharper. The real secret is that opportunity always hides in plain sight, waiting for the one person willing to look closely enough to seize it. A penny worth nearly $1 million. A story hidden in copper. A chance at financial freedom resting in the palm of your hand. The legend of the 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln cent isn't just about money. It's about possibility. The possibility that wealth doesn't always come from where we expect, and sometimes the smallest things carry the biggest rewards. So ask yourself one final question. Will you let this just be another story you heard online? Or will you take action, search your coins, and maybe, just maybe, find the penny that could change everything? Because the clock is ticking, and fortune favors those who look. Tonight, we're diving into one of the most shocking discoveries in American coinage. The 1982 no-mint mark Lincoln cent. A coin that looks so ordinary, you've probably touched one 100 times without even realizing it. But behind its unassuming face lies a story of mistakes, secrets, and unimaginable value. Now let's rewind. The year is 1982. Gas costs just over $1 a gallon. Michael Jackson has just released Thriller, and the US Mint is making a seemingly simple change, transitioning the Lincoln penny from solid copper to a cheaper copper-plated zinc. It was a cost-saving move, nothing unusual, or so it seemed. But that year, a perfect storm of confusion, experimentation, and human error led to one of the rarest modern coins ever struck. Here's where it gets interesting. In 1982, 7 different varieties of Lincoln cents were made. Some were copper, some were zinc. Some had large dates, others small dates. And then came the mistakes. Coins struck without mint marks, coins with double dies, and coins that slipped past inspectors entirely. Among these, one particular variety, the 1982 no-mint mark copper cent with a small date, became legendary. Why? Because it shouldn't exist. Officially, the US Mint never intended to strike this coin. And yet, against all odds, a tiny handful escaped into circulation. Each one is like a lottery ticket hidden in your pocket change. Now here's the part that stops collectors dead in their tracks. In pristine condition, this unassuming penny has sold for jaw-dropping sums. Not hundreds, not thousands, but hundreds of thousands of dollars. The most famous sale? A staggering $969,000. Yes, nearly $1 million for a single cent. Pause for a second. Think about that. 1 cent, designed to be the lowest value in our entire currency system, suddenly worth more than most people's houses. Isn't that almost poetic? But before you go sprinting to your coin jar, let's uncover what makes this coin so dangerous to overlook. First, the weight. The copper version weighs 3.11 grams, while the zinc version comes in at just 2.5 grams. If you've got a small digital scale, this tiny difference could mean the difference between pocket change and a life-changing fortune. Second, the date style. On the small date version, the 2 in 1982 curves delicately, and the 8 has a more subtle shape compared to the large date. These tiny details are the clues that separate a fortune from a fake. And here's a twist. Countless fakes are out there, crafted by people who understand the stakes. That means if you think you've found one, authentication is everything. Only professional grading services can verify its legitimacy and certify its value. Because let's be honest, would you really want to risk selling $1 million penny as just another coin roll find? Now, imagine the emotional roller coaster. One day you're counting pennies to pay for coffee, and the next day, an expert tells you that the coin in your hand could pay off every debt you've ever had, buy you a new car, or even fund your retirement. It's the kind of discovery that turns ordinary people into legends in the collecting world. But here's the catch: coins like this don't sit around forever. Every year, more are being discovered, graded, and locked away in private collections. Each one that surfaces reduces the odds of another being found in circulation. That means the window of opportunity is closing. The longer you wait, the slimmer the chance of stumbling across the jackpot. So ask yourself, have you really looked closely at your change? At the dusty jars in your attic? The piggy banks in your garage? The rolls of coins sitting in forgotten boxes? Because the next story of someone cashing in a penny for nearly $1 million could be yours. And if you think this is just about one coin, think again. The 1982 no-mint mark cent is just the headline act. The world of error coins is filled with secrets. Double strikes, off-center errors, rare minting variations. Each one a potential treasure hiding under your nose. But the 1982 small date copper? That's the crown jewel. The coin that proves miracles can still happen in the most unlikely places. So here's the bottom line. Right now, the market for rare coins is hotter than ever. Collectors are paying record-breaking prices, and demand is only growing. That $969,000 sale isn't the ceiling. It's the floor. With every new discovery, the spotlight grows brighter, and values rise higher. Which means if you've been dreaming of a wealthy lifestyle, of escaping the grind, of turning something ordinary into something extraordinary, this could be your moment. Every fortune starts with a choice. Will you dismiss that jar of pennies as worthless? Or will you take a closer look and possibly uncover the treasure of a lifetime? Somewhere out there, another 1982 no-mint mark copper small date penny is waiting to be found. The question is, will it be in your hands? Or will someone else walk away with your $1 million miracle? If you've been inspired to search, don't wait. Pull out those coins tonight, because tomorrow someone else might beat you to it. And when you hear the next headline about a penny selling for over $1 million, I promise you, you'll wish it was your story being told. So start searching. Start dreaming. And remember, sometimes the smallest things can carry the greatest fortunes. Something so small and insignificant that most people wouldn't even bother to pick it up off the street. But what if I told you that one of those very pennies, minted in 1983, with a single, almost invisible error, could be worth not hundreds, not thousands, but up to millions of dollars? That a coin you might have shoved into a jar years ago could hold the power to completely rewrite your financial future. Sounds unbelievable, right? Stay with me, because the story of the 1983 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is about to shake everything you thought you knew about pocket change. Back in 1983, the United States Mint made a change that would unknowingly spark one of the most sought-after mysteries in coin collecting history. Pennies, which had been made from solid copper for over a century, were switched to a cheaper copper-coated zinc composition. Harmless enough, or so it seemed. But hidden in that transition were rare mistakes. minting errors so elusive that entire rolls of coins had to be studied to find just one anomaly. Imagine the shock of collectors when they discovered that some of these 1983 pennies carried a doubling effect on the date and lettering, errors known as double dies. To the untrained eye, they look like any other coin. To those who know what to look for, they are treasures in plain sight. Here's the kicker. One of these tiny copper-plated discs recently sold for a jaw-dropping $969,000. Yes, almost $1 million for a single penny. Now ask yourself, how many 1983 pennies have you handled in your lifetime? How many might still be sitting in old drawers, coffee cans, or forgotten piggy banks right now? Could one of them be the key to financial freedom you never saw coming? Before you run to cash in your spare change, let's peel back the layers of this mystery. First, the mint mark. Typically, coins bear a small letter under the date, showing where they were minted: Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco. But in 1983, some pennies were struck without a mint mark at all. Combine this with the double die errors, and you have a perfect storm of rarity. It's the kind of coin that turns everyday people into instant millionaires. But here's where it gets even more chilling. Most Americans who have held one never realized it, and countless fortunes have slipped through unsuspecting fingers at grocery counters and gas stations. Think about that for a moment. How many hidden fortunes have been spent as loose change simply because someone didn't know? How many people missed their shot at life-changing wealth because they didn't take a closer look? The thought alone is enough to keep you up at night. Now, I know what you're thinking. All right, but how do I know if I've got one? The signs are subtle, but unmistakable once you know them. Look closely at the date, 1983, and at the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." On error coins, the letters appear doubled, as though shadowed. It's not wear and tear, not damage. It's a minting mistake, frozen forever in metal. And that tiny error is the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and a coin worth nearly $1 million. Here's the suspenseful twist. The number of verified 1983 double die pennies is painfully small, fewer than a handful confirmed in top condition. That scarcity is what fuels the frenzy. Every year, more people are scouring through rolls of pennies, chasing the dream. Some succeed, many don't. But isn't the possibility itself worth looking? After all, people spend fortunes on lottery tickets, where the odds are stacked against them. Here, all it costs is the time to check your change. And let's not ignore the psychological side. Imagine telling your family, your friends, that you became wealthy not from a business deal, not from years of grinding at a job you hate, but from a single penny. Imagine the look on their faces when they realize your luck came from something they all dismissed as worthless. That's the power of knowledge, the kind of knowledge you now hold. But let's crank up the urgency. Coins like this don't just hold value forever. The market shifts. Collectors fight tooth and nail for the best examples, and prices rise and fall like waves. Right now, the buzz around rare cents, especially transitional years like 1983, is at a fever pitch. The longer you wait, the more likely it is that someone else, maybe even your neighbor, will cash in while you're still wondering if you should bother to. So here's the reality check. Every jar of coins in your home could be a ticking time bomb of value, waiting to explode. Every penny you spend without looking might be the $1 million mistake you'll regret for the rest of your life. Do you want to risk letting fortune slip through your fingers? Or are you ready to take action? Because here's the final truth. Ordinary people are cashing in. They're finding these coins in old boxes, in circulation, even in pocket change from the grocery store. And when they do, their lives transform in ways most of us only dream about. Luxury cars, early retirement, financial security for generations, all unlocked by a coin everyone else ignored. The question is, will you be one of the ones who looked closer, or one of the ones who let destiny pass them by? Now go check your change. The future you've been dreaming of might just be staring back at you in the form of a humble 1983 penny.